Afternoon or good morning, everyone, wherever you may be in the country, and welcome to this webinar sponsored by the American Road and Transportation Builders Association. Today, we're privileged to hear from the winners of the ARTBA Contractor Safety Award, representing various sizes of companies. And these are very amazing companies who have had remarkable records with their EMRs, their modification rates of their insurance, and their lost time reportable injuries, as would be reported to OSHA. These all reported these. They competed against a number of other companies across the United States. 8 companies were selected as finalists this year, and they competed head-to-head in our convention. And now they are here to talk about what they're doing and why they've won. So we welcome you to this webinar and excited to hear from these companies. Now, what we invite you to do, you'll notice at the top of your screen, kind of center, there's a chat button. So if you would like to ask questions of the presenters, just click on the chat and post your questions there. We're going to hold the questions until the end of all the presentations to make sure everybody has adequate time to present. And then we will begin taking questions, but you can post them at any time and we'll just kind of take them in the order that they come up. I hope you'll engage with us in that way. All right, without further ado, let me introduce our presenters today. First, we're going to hear from Mark Momcilovic, and he is the safety manager with J. Baneke Construction located in Phoenix, Arizona. He has 6 years with the company, but he brings a total of 17 years of safety experience in both general industry and heavy civil construction. Mark holds a bachelor's degree in safety from Indiana University and maintains his CSP and CHSC certifications. In 2024, he was awarded the Arizona Chapter AGC Safety Professional of the Year. Following Mark, we're going to have 2 people from KE&G Construction, Chris Kuzik Barnett, who's our safety director, and Chris Albright, who's the president. So we'll start with introducing Chris. She's the safety director with KE&G, headquartered in Tucson, Arizona. She has over 35 years of field experience in the occupational safety and health, and brings a broad range of knowledge in both construction and general industry standards. She ensures compliance with safety programs and protocols, and her communication style, balanced with the team leadership, demonstrates a proven track record of reducing losses. Chris is the president of the employee-owned KE&G Construction Company, and he boasts 25 years extensive experience in the construction industry, leadership roles both nationally and in Arizona. And a career is distinguished by his involvement in some of the most pivotal freeway design build contracts in history. He's serving as the president of KE&G and plays a crucial role in steering the company towards continued excellence and growth. Next up, as we get into our larger companies, we're going to hear from Jesse Meldrum, who is the executive director of health and safety for the Ralph L. Wadsworth Construction Company, headquartered in Draper, Utah, where he has worked for the past 14 years. He's a seasoned safety leader with 28 years of experience spanning building and heavy civil construction, surface mining, DoD operations, and major civil infrastructure projects across the western United States. Under his leadership, Wadsworth has logged more than 9 million hours, worked without a lost time incident, and 4 consecutive years exceeding 1.5 million hours worked without a recordable injury. Pretty remarkable. And last but certainly not least is Bill Pedigo, who is the safety director with Austin Bridge and Road, located in Austin, Texas. He's been with Austin for 12 years and in the construction safety business for 24 years. Austin Bridge and Road is renowned for its safety programs, and David Walls, who leads the company, written books on safety. So we're very lucky to have these folks with us here today to share with us their ideas and experience about how they are making safety work for their companies. So let's start by turning the time to Mark and let him begin his presentation.
Thank you, Brad. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Momcilovic, like Brad said. I'm the safety manager for J. Baneke Construction. little bit about our company. We were founded in 1991 by Jerry Bannicky in Phoenix. We're a heavy civil construction firm. We self-perform all aspects of work except for that hot black stuff. It's hot enough down here in Phoenix, so we don't mess with the asphalt. We have completed 1,785 projects. We average about 52 projects a year. A lot of our jobs are job order contracts, which are quick trigger projects, emergency work. The scopes can range anywhere from underground utilities to full roadway rebuilds, bridge jacking, all which require rapid deployment, safety documentation, and planning. We sit around 100 employees between our field and our office personnel. As a small contractor, we rely heavily on our safety culture to ensure acceptable safety performance. Monthly executive meetings don't start with financials. We start with a comprehensive review of our safety performance and planning on all of our projects. We look at all of our key performance indicators, our KPIs, past trends, focus areas, document submission, and field management is all involved in that review. We average, like we had said, about 45 projects a year. As we set critical scheduling milestones for projects, plans, and subcontractor safety plans in our monthly management meetings. Another thing we do is every week we have our plan our work meeting. This is done every week with all field management and upper management. It's to show our safety culture is present in the weekly operation. Again, these meetings start with a comprehensive review of all of our safety documentation, safety needs for the week, and planning to make sure that our next week is set up properly. We also have our monthly executive management field audits. So once a month, our upper management goes out in the field. We walk a job, look for any safety issues, identify trends or things that we're seeing out in the field to make sure we're building safe. But not only that, but also building a relationship with our field crews. We want them to know that it's not just the guys that they see every day out in the field, that it's also our upper management that's committed to safety here at Bannicky. We have quarterly safety awards for all employees when we hit safety performance milestones. So making sure that we're getting in our documents, making sure we're planning ahead. If we hit those goals, we like to give out backpacks, Yeti mugs, Leatherman tools, all the fun stuff that employees enjoy using. We also do quarterly safety lunches on our job sites that have demonstrated the best safety performance with their documentation, planning, and execution. It's not only us, it's also our trade partners. We require safety plans to be submitted prior to executing subcontracts. We have this language included in our subcontracts to make sure that it's not just us, it's the people that are working besides us, that they have the same safety mindset that we have here at Bannicky. When I first got to Bannicky, we were looking for a way to establish a safety culture that reaches beyond just work. We wanted to hit it home. It's not just our employees, but their families. We want also to buy into our safety culture. We believe families should have a peace of mind knowing that their loved one's going to work for a company that strives to achieve the safest work environment by working with people that share the same safety mindset. Started a calendar contest. Any child or grandchild of an employee is eligible to draw a picture. Their ages range from 2 all the way to 18. The winner for that contest, the employee gets a paid day off, and we give an all expense paid day's trip to a local theme park or attraction so that they can spend time with the loved ones that they're working so hard for. Not only that, but the families buy into it, and then they're constantly asking the employee, hey, how was work today? Were you safe? Were you wearing all your PPE? It's really paid dividends for us. And it goes beyond just at work. We want our mindset is being safe at work and safe at home. We want to make sure they're not just physically okay on the job site, but they're mentally as well. We have EAP programs that are not only there to help our employees, but also their family members. We regularly meet with our crews to discuss mental health and suicide awareness, providing them with resources and information on who they can talk to if they're in need of help. Safety starts the minute an employee walks in the door here at Bannicky. Every employee goes through a new hire orientation, not only when they're here getting signed up, but also once they get in the field. Every job site has a job specific orientation that is built for those job sites. It has specific trainings and hazards to look out for on the job sites they could be on. The first 90 days an employee comes to work for us, they get placed in a yellow hard hat, identifying them as a new employee. So anyone coming on that job site, make sure they go to introduce themselves. That way they can see if they bought into our safety policies and procedures and they're comfortable with them. And if not, it opens up a conversation to have with them, identifying them as a newer employee to make sure they understand what our policies are. We also pair them up with a senior mentor of the crew to help guide them for the first 90 days in our safe practices. We do a lot of work on Native American land where it has a 1-to-1 tribal hiring requirement, where we could have someone that's never worked in construction before, pairing them with a mentor helping guide them in our safety policies and practices has paid dividends for us. It's not only made for very effective employees, but also productive employees that stay with us for a long time. Our EMR has improved year over year and is well below industry standards, as you can see from here. It's not only our EMR, but our RIR has been below 1 and even 0. We truly believe that this is due to employees buying into our safety culture, which is focused on training, developing, and empowering them to work safe. At Banachie, our culture is different. It relates to accident investigation. So we foster an environment where near misses, lessons learned, and safety improvements are proactively shared without fear. This results in numerous KPIs, our key performance indicators, like I had talked about, and inspections we require from the field management daily. No matter what the severity is for an incident, we get out there and investigate it. We took a look at what could have happened or what did happen, make sure we're learning from that. We investigate it, determine the root causes. These are not a blame game situation. We are here to help. Let's make sure we can prevent this from happening again, whether something did happen or it was a near miss. We come up with a corrective action plan, and that could result in any policy changes. And then we send that safety alert out across the entire company. Recently, we were digging for a direct buried power line in Sedona from the 1970s. They were digging down. They struck it with the potholing tool. When we went and looked at it, it arced off. Luckily, no one was injured. But we looked and they were using the wrong type of sharpshooter. They thought they had the correct one. This resulted in a policy change to make sure all of our tools now are fiberglass or wood handles, and that anytime we are going for direct bury, we will use hydro excavation. So luckily nothing occurred from that, but it still was something that we wanted to investigate and make sure that we prevent any reoccurrence in the future. We use an online safety management software, which I believe sets us apart. We've been using it now for 8 years. We were one of the first ones on this pilot program. Even beyond that, using online database software, we were early on with this. We require all of our management they all have reporting requirements. So our executive and our project management teams must go out on the job site and walk a job site at least once a month and submit a job site safety checklist, which is our full-blown job site audits. Our PMs must submit one a month on their job sites. Our PEs are required to submit one weekly on the job site they are on. Our supers and foremans do observations. So that's looking at taking a picture of something on the job site, whether it's at risk or safe, and it's an accurate condition. They report back what they are seeing. Obviously, we want to look good with the safe ones, but the ones we learn from the most are at-risk ones. So identifying what was at risk and how we fixed it on the job site, because that could have prevented something from happening. As you can see here, from our observation numbers, we had 3,600 observations and 300 checklists performed at 227,000 man hours. Now that is with only 14 field supervisors and 15 managers. So those numbers are outstanding that we're getting that much results. We use the data from this, because what are we doing with all of it? We take the data and it dictates our training. And if we need to revise any safety planning or employee development, we make sure that not only with our observations and our checklist, but even our daily document submissions, that we review at least 30% of them a week for quality and accuracy. This is our checks and balances to make sure that, yeah, we're getting all this data, that's great, but are we reviewing it? Are we taking a look at the quality of the data that we're receiving? Our next step in safety is our risk assessments. One thing I truly believe sets us apart at Banachie is we involve safety and operations at the time of the initial bid. For all projects, risk task analysis, RTAs, are performed in partnership with safety, operations, and estimating at the time of bid to ensure we have the proper safety measures and controls built in when we're estimating the project. It's not just, oh, here, we want a job, now field guys figure it out. No, we're looking ahead to make sure that we're setting that job up to be successful and a safe job. Recently, we did a project up in Flagstaff, Arizona, where we were working on our Schultz Creek project. We had to set 850 feet of box culvert and 100 feet a day. All kinds of utilities in the way, underground, overhead, a 40-foot wide easement, 20-foot deep cuts, and 100-foot need to be installed per week. working 7 days a week, all while next to a live highway, a school zone, and multiple trade partners working simultaneously. During the bid process, we were able to identify the 3 different types of shoring systems we would have to use and made sure that all the hydro excavating that we required to identify the underground utilities that were unknown at the time. This has resulted in a very successful and safe project for us. Next, we go into our job hazard analysis, which is built off of our risk task assessments with field management and the supervision. We've established a safety culture of open communication between employees and management, where we're actively participating in conversations. So when we're going through our job hazard analysis with the strong safety culture we have, we review it with the crews. We encourage the crews to speak up if they see anything. This happens all the time when I'm out there watching this field supervision, review the JHAs with our crews in the field. They're constantly speaking up, talking to the manager, hey, you might have missed this, or hey, I've done this job before and here's what we see. Recently, we had a job at an airport where they were setting trench drains. The lid did not sit all the way past 90 degrees, so it was a risk of coming down and crushing a hand or something while they were rattling the bolts in. Our employees speaking up and talking about this possibly saved us from an injury, and open communication led to that. We also have daily document submissions. We've recently switched over to energy-based safety, so using Sticky for our pre-work planning. We are eliminating the potential for SIFs by controlling high energy hazards that we have identified out in the field, such as gravity, mechanical, motion, pressure, sound, electrical. We measure all of our incidents on 2 levels with SIF. As you can see, over time, our severity has dropped. We don't measure on recordables. We do track them, but we don't measure on them because it's not a great indicator. Obviously, we have frequency, but that's because no matter how minor or severe, we have the potential of showing a catastrophic event, which prevents an uptick with reporting without fear. We're constantly updating and sharing this information with not only our management, but our crews in the field to help determine meeting topics or trainings that could be used. As we've already detailed, as I've talked about, management performs comprehensive reviews of all of our risk task analysis, job hazard analysis, safety plans, and our trade partner safety plans. We also perform managerial reviews of all of our leading and lagging indicators. A great example of this is our recent management commitment to using telematics in our vehicles. We looked at our driving leading and lagging indicators, reviewed all the information, speed, seatbelt usage, vehicle maintenance, and accidents. We developed a plan to have safer, more productive drivers by utilizing telematics and dash cams. We implemented the change, installing them in the vehicles and training our drivers on what to expect. We also look at, excuse me, we track it by looking at events per 100 miles driven and also what the severity of the events are. We trained all the drivers on the setup and what data we received, and coachable moments have taught us how to update our drivers to become more effective. We've seen a significant improvement from our driving, which has resulted in reduced vehicle accidents, vehicle claims, and our exposure as a company. I mean, just in the 2 months that we did this, it took one of our worst drivers and put him in our top tier by being coached and realizing how to change his driving habits. I know there's a lot of information I threw out real quick, but I'd like to thank ARTBA for the opportunity to share our safety program with all of you today. It was an honor to be awarded the ARTBA Contractor Safety Award. We hope our outstanding safety culture, built meticulously on pre-planning, KPI data review, and continuous worker development, is backed by all members of our crew, has shown through.
Thanks so much, Mark. We really appreciate that and your insights. And I'm sure if people want to follow up with you, we can certainly share your information to let them have a chat with you, because as a smaller company, you're showing that there's not a lot of limitations there. You can still do it even with smaller company and smaller resources.
Absolutely, yeah. More than happy to talk to anyone if they have any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. We'll now switch over to the folks at KE&G and let them share what they're doing. It's kind of in the more mid-sized company. And KE&G, if you're on, you're muted, so we're not seeing or hearing you.
Oh, hello.
How about that now? There we go. So I'm Chris Albright, president of the company.
I'm Chris Kuzik-Bardad. I'm the Safety Director for KENG.
One of the things, so we boiled our presentation down to just a few slides, really, trying to get to the gist of what I think makes our program different. And really, it's led by Chris and our safety team and the connection that we'll talk about here in a minute. But one of the things is I think we, as I actually have a minor in safety management that I got when I went to college as well. And we're dedicated to safety. And we start off with all of our new employees going through our own 10-hour program because we want to make sure that they learn what programs we're talking about from our safety people and what we emphasize on. And all of our supervisor management go through a 30-hour training as well to make sure that they got that additional training. But we start off with commitment from me talking to each one of them, each new employee talking about their dedication to safety and that if they feel unsafe, they can stop work. And if they're ever told to do something that they feel is unsafe, that I'll take care of that problem first and foremost, because that's what we're about.
So I have to say here that the success of our safety program is based on our relationships that we build with our employees. Our employees are our company. We are unique in that we are 100% employee owned. So when something happens to one of us, something happens to all of us. And we have used that and that foundation of relationships to gather trust and respect from our employees. It goes both ways. We like to say transparent and engaged because really, what does that mean, right? Our employees know everything that goes on in safety. As a matter of fact, I was in a meeting with somebody this morning and we were talking about our safety numbers and he says, oh yeah, I see that on your field safety share. And every week we produce a field safety share that talks about all of our incidents, our corrective action, anybody that works at KENG, from our laborers to the president, know what a TRIR is. And that's kind of a difficult thing for everybody to know unless you do safety, as I'm sure you all well know. But for us, we're really proud that our employees know that. This slide that we're sharing is my favorite time of year. Right now, December, we do our safety slogan contest where our employees come up with our next safety slogan. And this one here, step up, be safe, or step aside, came from an employee that had been here for a long time and really just got tired of seeing some employees make not good choices. So they get a gift card when we choose what that's going to be. And this just really is a good time and a good time of year for us here at KENG. This sign here is what our employees see every morning they go to work, because what's more important than going to work is making sure that they come home to their families. So we like them to remember that when they come and when they leave. So we had talked a little bit about our TRIR and that DART rate that they all know about. And again, that's just something that we like to share with them and makes our program what I think is a great safety culture.
Another thing we do is what we call the excelling employee owner. It's nominated by their peers, and safety is one of the key components to that. So each one of these gentlemen were nominated by their peers and selected finally by a management committee, but they get recognized throughout the company, both in our newsletter, on social media, plus they get their picture up on a big plaque that we have at each one of the locations for an entire year till somebody else gets nominated and goes through there. They get a really cool carbon fiber blue hard hat and some other stuff, some other goodies within the company, and a really good bragging rights throughout this. But if they're unsafe, they don't get a chance to get up there. So I think that it just helps and just has that shows the commitment of those people for safety throughout the.
So when we did the presentation initially in Dallas, we broke these down, but these are all the things, just like all of you do. We do the same thing. We do safety planning every day with our JHAs, or when we're doing getting ready to start a job, we're all getting together and talking about that planning. Of course, we do the incident investigation. We do management involvement. Chris already talked about that. We do a lot of training. As a matter of fact, we have fabricated a training trailer that we take to our employees because we find going to them is much easier than bringing them into the office and having them sit there for hours listening to us go blah, blah, blah. So we take it to the craft and we make it craft specific. And we have found that this is a real benefit for us and for them. We do auditing. As a matter of fact, quarterly, we do mock OSHA audits where we have our insurance broker come in. They serve our loss prevention broker. He comes in and he goes onto the job site and he starts with, I'm from OSHA and we're looking for that engagement with our employees with him. And then, of course, we do surveys and inspections. One of the things that we found with our inspections, which I think is that next slide, is that it's not, sorry, it's our safety culture. So before I'm sure some of you have, when I say ISN or AVETA, I'm sure some of you can relate to ISN and AVETA and the in depth we have to go to show what kind of safety culture we have and what our safety programs look like. And it's quite the challenge annually when I have to do this. But one of the great things that came out of our audit with ISN is our safety culture and what our numbers look like, which is so important for us. When we stress the safety culture at KE&G, I just can't stress enough how really that is the foundation. And you can see it from these numbers here, from our commitment to safety and their commitment to safety. And then also that perception. What does that look like? What are they seeing, what we're doing? And what this tells me is a little room for improvement, but it's working and we can definitely see it in our EMOD and definitely in our TRIR as well.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have done a great job with that.
Thanks.
Another cool thing that we do is not only being employee owned, we're also in a captive insurance program. And a lot of members of the captive insurance program, they potentially get returns back off of our insurance premiums. As an employee owned company, we decided we're going to give those back to all of the employees. So if you're still working here and you were safe during that year, you get a chance to get a nice check back that we give to each one of our employees. As a group of some of the guys that had just received their captive checks after been working with the company for a few years. And it's a nice additional thing to say thank you for being safe out there every day.
This here was a celebration that we had back in September. We managed to work 1 million man hours without a lost time injury. And we celebrated. Everybody was very excited about it. And it was a huge accomplishment for us and for where we are going with our safety program. Right now, we are at 1.5 million man hours, which is more exciting and hopefully more to come.
And you'll note the guy in the bottom center of the picture, if you can see my cursor there, he's wearing his blue excelling employee owner hat he had just received as well. So definitely those guys are proud of that and have done a great job and appreciate everything they do out there every day. That's all we've got.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you so much, Chris and Chris, for that great presentation and understanding that, a little bigger company than Bannicky, but still, not huge with not as many, typical resources, but you're showing your dedication. And, that's just amazing, the things you can do and are doing. All right, next up we have Jesse, and we're getting to some of the larger size companies. And Jesse, let's hear what Wadsworth is doing with just year after year of successful safety programs.
Perfect. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Make sure I'm sharing here. Can you see that, Brad?
Yes, we're good.
Perfect. So I'm with Ralph Wadsworth Construction Company. We're based out of Draper, Utah. We were originally organized in 1975, so we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, which is a great milestone for us, but hopefully another 50 years to come. So with our, not advancing slides. There we go. With our organization, we focus in 4 different areas: the heavy highway, large commercial structures, piling and shoring, and then a mission critical. So between those, we focus just about 800 employees headquartered. I already said that in Draper, Utah. We have satellite offices spread out through the West, Boise, Idaho, Cheyenne, Wyoming, El Paso, Texas, and Denver. And we're currently, well, this is a few months old, but we're currently self-performing work on 38 projects throughout the Western US. I believe we're a little bit more than that. I think we're 42 currently today. But our success, we've had some really good milestones over the years. Obviously, you can see here on the left side of the chart, we weren't having the best safety program when we originally started all this data back in 2005, but we've been able to turn it around quite a bit, where this year we will celebrate the second lowest. In 2022, we were able to go an entire year, actually 23 months in total, without a recordable injury. And this year we had one, which will leave us at a 0.12 RIR for the year, still working just about 1.7 million man hours for the year this year. So huge success, great chart to look at because it shows where we've been and where we're going. So one of the big things that we focus on is employee participation across the company. So every year we do a survey across our companies and really evaluate how our program is doing and how it is progressing forward. So the last couple of years, we've been able to accomplish at least a 90% or above on every question that we give them, just to ensure that what we're doing is in the right direction and that they're buying in. So one of the big things we focus on is employee observations across the company. So we have two ways of doing this. We have a QR code that all employees have access to and can do an observation at any point in time. But we ask that our frontline supervisors complete one observation per day. So you can see these numbers here as we continue on 2025. This is a few months old again, but we will break about 35,000 observations this year just from our frontline supervisors. So again, the buy-in and the participation from them has been excellent. One of the things that we changed last year, you saw on the chart just a second ago, from 2022, we started to creep back up in our RIR and our injuries. So we rolled out this GUTS program this year, really focusing on every step, every person, every day. Everything we do, we really look at it and make sure that as we work through that process every day, we get us there safe at the end of the day. So this was our big focus this year, to really implement this and get it out to the guys so we get that buy-in from top to bottom in every step that we do all day long. So the three things that we really focus on, number one is our leadership. It starts from the top all the way to the bottom, but the leadership really has to buy in, and then the engagement from all craft, all the way to the lowest person in the company. And then the ownership with that. We express extreme ownership across every act that we do, so that when we're looking at it, it's about what I can do better to make this process better, what I can do to change the outcome of it and make sure that we have a better process. So our executive leadership, we really focus on these four areas: the strategic planning, and then observing how that happened. Well, we foster the safety culture, and moving into the key influencers, which I'll mention a little bit later. And then our mentorship program, driving the engagement into our auditing program so that we can evaluate where we're at. With the frontline supervisors, we really focus on what these other two companies have really talked about: the pre-planning and the field input from the field, so that it's put into place in an effective, meaningful way. Then we put that into our team meetings, from the toolbox topics every week to our daily planning meetings, moving into our key influencers, which turns us to the incident analysis. When we have an incident, we deep dive into it and do a full root cause analysis, and then what we call a mining the diamond, which I will talk about here in just a second. And then we will go through and inspect and observe every process, take ownership in it, and then use the data from all of these inspections in order to drive change through the process in order to make it better. So from the ownership side, it's really a mindset. It's the what if one thing would have changed? What if this would have been different? How could it have changed the outcome? Building that better plan so that we can prevent it from happening on the next one. And then we go into a SIP review. Turn all of that into an accountability and the learning aspect, where we go back to our leadership and really empower everybody on the job and everybody in the company to drive that change. So our safety planning, the RHAs, the work plan developments, JHAs, we focus on all of that. I won't go into a lot of detail because everybody kind of does it across the board. But as we go through the process, the RHAs, we take this this work plan from the day that we start bidding on the job. So the first part, all of our estimating team has gone through an OSHA 30 or above, every single one of them. So as they go through this process and estimate a job, they're really looking at the different hazards associated with it. And then when we win the job and we kick it off, they've already put together their top hazards for the job before anybody from the field ever sees it. In conjunction with our safety team, we do the pre-activity planning and the work plan, and then we base our JHAs off of it. So as we go through that, we really focus on the risk matrix and ensuring that using the hierarchy of controls, we can limit our exposure and our consequences to each one of the each one of the tasks that we are performing. So then we go into our job site safety checklist, which is a full encompassing inspection of the job. We have someone on the job doing it every week, going through and looking at all these different aspects. Then we have implemented an AI integration into this, where it's taking all of these inspections and it's really focusing, giving us leading indicators and key influencers as we put all that back together. So it's really taking all these findings and all of the incidents that we're having and really implementing it into a data-driven change. So with that, it comes into our daily planning, which we use the sticky meeting as well. When we really kind of go through that, we implemented this sticky wheel or energy wheel a couple of years ago and focused on those energy-based processes versus just the hazards that are on the job. The guys have really endorsed this. They really love it because it's easier to use and it really makes sense to them out in the field. So as they go through it, again, you go through all the different energy wheel sections, but it also takes that AI integration into it. So if they miss something that gets implemented in their daily work plan, it gives them that little prompt to say, hey, we've had this on the JHA, or we've had this in the past, and you're not addressing it here. So it's that proactive approach in order to really drive it into the best foot forward as we start the task. The next one is our observations. So we implemented a new observation program this year that is an AI driven as well. So when you go into it, you can actually use the voice recording. So you're just talking into it in a couple of different languages. You can talk into it and it will automatically do the observation for you. You put in a few minor details, which has made it just a seamless process. So it's easy to use and it really catches everything for you. This is another aspect that the guys have really endorsed because it is so simple to really put it in there. You're not having to do all the typing and you're not having to really go through and do that data entry into it on your phone. This has made it very easy and they love it. So incident investigations. We go through this process on any one of our incidents that happen. We focus more on the potential severity. So when we're really looking at something, everybody uses the SIF, the root cause analysis, and then the safety alerts or the lessons learned. But what we've really changed is taken this hurt-based approach. And as we look at it, it's not about how many we have in this triangle from the 1 to a 4 or 5. It's really looking at that one thing that if something would have changed, if it wasn't for the luck or it wasn't for that one item, it could have been so much worse. So those are the ones we really look at. Even though something didn't happen or it wasn't as severe as it could have been, we really look at that in order to prevent it for the next one because it potentially could be a pretty severe incident. With that, we now go into our management reviews. So every week, our executive team reviews every incident that happens on the projects across the company every Monday morning. We really look at it and look for those trends and analyze all of that data to make sure that we're getting the information out to all the different jobs across the company if we're seeing a trend. So a couple of ways that we base this information is our safety submissions dashboard. And then we have an observation analysis where it really breaks it down between the acts and the conditions and whether it was positive or negative. And then we take that into our safety incident dashboards. So when we look at all of these incidents, it creates an injury analysis dashboard for us so we can really look at the different trends that we're seeing all the way out across the jobs. With all of that, we get into our key influencers. So when we analyze all of that data in our AI and Power BI dashboards, it gives us trends. So we can look at, for this slide in particular, the jobs are expected at 2 times higher incident happening in a walking working surface condition as we go through it. So the next step of it is those influencers. When we're really looking at it across all of the different aspects, on this next one, on a Monday, we have a 17.2% increase. And in July and February, we have an 11 and 13% increase because of what we have seen in the trends and the incidents and all of our observations and inspections data. So it really gives us some data to go off of and really look at preventing that next incident. So that has given us, back to this chart, we've been successful in it. It is proven. So the next thing we really look at is the total safety and well-being of all of our employees. We don't focus on just the employee and how they're doing at work. It's about what's at home. It's about the entire employee. The next step of it is the mental health awareness. I know this has been talked about quite a bit over the last couple of years in the industry, but this year we went through with every supervisor in the company, went through a mental health awareness training so that they are aware of the signs or the symptoms or whatever's going on the job so that you can address somebody. Maybe they're just having a bad day or maybe something's going on at home. But if their mind isn't in the task that they're on, they have a higher chance of creating a situation or putting themselves in a situation where they can get hurt or hurt someone else. So as we've looked at this, we ran all of our managers through this training in order to catch that guy and give them the help that they need, really addressing the mental health aspect. So part of that is we paired with a national company that is a mental health specific for the construction industry resource that they can reach out to and talk to a counselor and really get the help that they need. So the overall effectiveness, here's where we've gotten. Our engagement surveys are 90% positive in every category this year. Our RIR has been 0 in 2022. Actually, in 2025, we just had an incident, so it's going to bump to 1.2. Even though we're going to hit 1.7 million man hours, we had 1 recordable injury for the year. That's phenomenal. So in 2022, we went 23 months with 2.5 million man hours worked without a recordable. And we are still tracking at 8.9 million man hours. We just broke over 9 million man hours without a lost time injury. And then our observations and job site safety checklist, we've accomplished this over the last couple of years. So it's been a great program. So that's what I've got. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thanks so much, Jesse. And some questions have been coming in about the software and such you're using for your AI, but we'll get to that in just a minute because it sounds pretty exciting about how these new technologies are being used. But let's jump over to Bill and see what Austin Bridge and Road is doing to maintain decades of safety performance.
Hello, my name is Bill Pettigo. I'm the safety director for Austin Bridge and Road. We've got a condensed version of what we presented at the finals, but a couple of few things that we're just big believers in. Anything we're going to do in our safety program, we want it to fit into one of 3 pillars: either management commitment and involvement, employee participation and engagement, or resiliency in learning from when things didn't go exactly right. So I'm gonna take through a couple of the few ideas and changes we made in the previous year that really helped us to improve our performance. I could give you a different story with every one of these technologies and the management commitment to get out here and try the what's on the market, and really I'm going to talk a little bit about Vicus in a minute, which is a system that we helped develop with the software company because we weren't happy necessarily with what we were seeing on the market for preventing people from getting run over, getting hit in the job site. So I'm going to move forward here to Vicus. What is Vicus? It's our virtual intelligence created augmented safety. That's a mouthful. Obviously, Vicus is the short term for it. We partnered with this company that basically through intelligent camera systems and AI technology, they're able to go into the blind spots of our equipment and show us things that we we weren't able to see before unless we were standing there in the moment. As you can see in the photos here, we've got one in the blind spot of an excavator, and then we've got 2 employees standing just in close proximity to a roller. Picks up shadows, it picks up partial humans inside the picture, and what separates it from just a proximity alarm, it's not just a constant beeping when something's in the area. It actually identifies a partial human, a hand, a helmet, as you can see here behind a barricade. So it's going to set an alarm off inside the operator's cab when these are identified, basically to let them know that we've got a human in there. It's got a separate voice that comes in that's not just a beeping alarm that kind of gets caught in the minutia of a construction site, but it's an alert that you've got a human on your left or on your right that they have to acknowledge and turn and make sure that we have people out of those crush zones. In the equipment that we've put it in, you can see on this chart, we rolled this out in January and March. We started kind of running the pilot. Right here, end of May is when we started training the operators in detail on what we were looking for goals wise, preventing these near miss where we're just in close contact to equipment as it operates. And you can see the downward trend. Utilization stayed up, but the downward trend on the equipment for how many times we were having people in those critical areas next to our equipment. A lot of improvement there. Employee participation. This is just a couple of photos for our management side. This is Construction Safety Week. You know, you can gauge what your company culture is around safety with how willing your employees are to come up and say, hey, something doesn't feel right to me. We got to take a time out and reevaluate this or get this fixed. As you can see here, we're constantly out in our employees, with our employees, teaching them that that's what we do want them to do. Go through a thorough training program as they come on and onboarding. And then we started, what we've really paid some big dividends this year is our Austin Craft engagement. So on every project site that we have, we'll have a dedicated craft engagement crew. What that is, you know, peer-to-peer safety. So a lot of the issues with new employees or employees coming to a company that they're coming from a different culture from an outside company is getting everybody comfortable speaking up. One of the things we found is that rather than going directly to your supervisor or to your safety person, the more peer-to-peer worker interactions you can have, both on a positive side and on a correction side, we're much more apt to have the newly hired employees speak up when they're talking to their peers instead of a supervisor. And it's not just a safety committee. We meet weekly with this, and then we also change this minimum quarterly. We try to rotate through every discipline that's on the work operation to get them out to really give them a voice, help them find their voice and start using it, as well as they do a job-wide inspection where everybody that's on the craft committee, and some of this is subcontractor and trade partners, and some of it is internal self-perform workers. But they go out on a weekly basis to go look at the job and identify areas as they go and look for them for improvement. So we got a couple of photos, just, you know, as you can kind of see through, this is our risk management, our pre-task plans prior to shift start. We actually made a trend shift last year. We've been using HCSS for the better part of a decade now. And we found as we started reviewing year over year statistics, we were seeing some incidents where the electronic side of the JHAs and kind of the pre-filled section of the JHAs that you can find in a lot of electronic systems, it was kind of robbing our employees from getting more involved in building their own individual plan. We actually made a move back to paper from the digital version, which, you know, obviously you got to document and do that side of it. But we've seen good participation along those lines from all of our crews in this. Our craft observation program, I think this is similar to something that our man from Wadsworth was talking about. But we've got a QR that goes on the helmet of every employee and every sub that shows up on one of our projects. This is just, you know, English and Spanish on a toggle. So whatever they're comfortable with, it's voice activated if they want to use voice. But we wanted it to be really simple. And this is something through our software system that we use really, because if we're missing the craft level, we're missing the whole point on safety, right? So this gives our craft people without licenses, without user agreements, the ability to come in and say, hey, I talked to someone and I corrected this, or this crew's doing something really well, and I want to recognize them. And so they do that through the system. Safety planning, I'll just hit it quickly. Everybody does some form of this. One of the things that we really incorporated is a work plan for every major operation. It's going to go step by step, hazards and controls. We started to include our photos to make them a little more specific, as we realized we were training a significant amount of new people that were new to construction, that maybe didn't have the construction background coming in. We had to do a better job of putting photographs and some of these areas to help them understand what the process was for these work operations. Our pre-task assessment, we've had what we call life critical rules since 2016. It was our approach to the SIFs and the SIF reductions within our company. We incorporated this into our pre-planning a little further when we went back to paper. Essentially, you've got what we call our pre-task plan, or our start cards as we come in. We put the precursors for each of these items, and as you can see on there, there's about 10 of these total. The precursors, we found that if we're doing these things right, we're checking those things before we start the work operation and throughout the day, we're going to have a much better opportunity for success for our work crews. This has paid dividends all year long. Field auditing, we use HCSS's system on the inspection side. This is just some brief examples of what we're looking at. Number of failed items or corrected items, and average days it takes to respond to get these things closed out. When we pulled this, we were sitting at 1.79 in this example on one item. But really that's indicative of, are you finding risk, and then are you correcting risk out in the field? And then the last thing I wanted to touch base on, we talked a little bit about total worker health previously in the previous presentations. Austin Industries basically went out and said, we want to do something, more than EAP and toolbox meetings. We want to really get involved and give somebody an opportunity to have someone to talk to. They started a chaplaincy program within our company that has a director of chaplain services at Industries. He works for all three of our operating companies. It's really taken off. We do the messaging and the talking through if you're needing help, getting help, that side of it at your toolbox meetings, your biannual meetings. But having someone appointed and dedicated through this that they can talk to individually has paid dividends for us year over year. When I spoke to our chaplain last week, he said we started off at around 35 calls per month, and we're sitting right now at over 100 per month with people that are needing help, that are getting help because of the services provided. That wraps it up for me, Brett.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us here, and I invite y'all to put your cameras back on and let's chat with some of the questions that have come in. And let's start. There seems to be some intrigue about some of the software. Now, we know that, Bill, you kind of had one that you have built yourself. Jesse, tell us a little bit about what you are doing. And I'm sure Mark or Bill, you are building off or adding to it probably another software or customizing it. So let's talk a little bit about the AI quickly and how you're using that and where you're getting your software for doing these types of things.
I guess I'll go first. So with Ralph Wadsworth, there was a local guy here in Utah that started up his company. I don't know, it's been about 8 or 9 years ago. He sold out to the company that it is with now, but it is Mojo AI. Previously Safety Mojo, same as what Mark is using at Banachie. But this new Mojo AI is what has all of this different AI technologies built into it. And they are still developing, they're still working kinks out, they're still perfecting it, if you call that. But the capabilities of it are huge right now. So as they continue to implement all of this, we've just touched the surface with what it's doing right now. The second question there, I see it is a subscription-based per user on an annual basis. I can't give you a price on it because we were one of those first companies, so I think our price is pretty good, but I don't know what it costs for everybody else. But I know it is a subscription based on per user annually.
Bill, anything you want to add to what you've said about what you've been doing with yours?
Yeah, we've for most of our safety platform uses, we've used HCSS for, like I say, the better part of a decade on that side. It does a good job of really rostering and keeping that organized for you. The Vicus system, we actually have a technology director that was doing some research to solve a problem. We started with the problem, and then how do we solve it? What does it look like? He found this company. They're actually out of India that we partnered with to help build these cameras. Essentially, we trained this camera from, when it first got onto the machine to identifying, partial hands, fingers, a lot of background work and what we're looking for and what we're not looking for to get it reliable. Now it brings this out in the dashboard, so it's easy to use. So, we can go by project or you can go by crew. It's not a punitive tool where we go out and say, hey, we got to do something different. It's something like watching film in football. You're going to go back and see how you perform the day before. And then if there's some areas that we can go and improve in regards to proximity to our equipment, we'll get involved doing that.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add anything on, in the use of AI and the software there?
We started using it with our vehicle cameras, with our telematics dash cams. There's AI coaching built into it, so it does speak to them right there on the spot. You got to make sure they're aware of the volume and the fact that a camera is going to speak to you on the dash before it frightens someone. So definitely take the time to let them hear it parked. But it gives you instant feedback, and versus our old system where we were getting all the data of harsh braking or events, but it's not instant. It's something where you look back at the end of the month, you send that out, and then, okay, well, when did I do that? Or when did that occur? Versus this, where you're actually coaching the behavior out of them by instantly letting them know what the issue is, whether it's a harsh braking event, fast acceleration, seatbelt use. It's instantly coaching them, which is we've seen great results from.
Thank you. Great stuff. Great stuff. Someone made a point here that said the central theme with all these presentations is employee engagement. And I know that many, many years ago, boy, I don't even want to reveal, that 30 years ago, beginning in safety, and OSHA was starting to talk about safety committees, and it was all about, employee engagement on those committees and where we've come to today. Let's start with the Chris's over there. You guys, as an employee-owned company, I love the way you send them checks back from your captain. Tell us how, you are using that employee engagement to make your company more competitive.
Well, that's a great question. I mean, first of all, it's a recruitment tool for us because, we definitely are, we're not giving all the profits back to one owner. They're coming back to the entire company, and then we share in those positives back with the employees. And the biggest thing is a recruitment tool for us, and give those guys a little bit of something extra to be proud of. And hopefully then, you talked about AI and software and things like that. That's all great. But if I've got an employee next to me that's going to watch out for me because they could impact our returns, how much more impact does that have?
Yeah.
And, Chris, the team, and all of our management team, and even the, fellow employees, they care about each other and showing them that they care. I mean, that employee engagement and just the general care for them on a personal basis is there because we are in it together. And I think that's the biggest part of it for us.
Excellent. All right. I want to give each of you just, we're coming up on the hour, but final thoughts. What do you think if you had to stand in an elevator with somebody and tell them, and they said to you, I need your best tip on, in 1 or 2 sentences on how to run an effective safety program, what would you tell them? And who do I pick on first? Okay,
I'll go first before everyone else takes the answers. But I would tell you that the key point, in my opinion, to any safety program, you've got to get feedback from the people building the work. If you ever, we can get real top heavy on policies and procedures and organizations. If your employees aren't bought in, they're not going to do it. They're not going to participate in the program. You can have a great written program, but the more that you can engage them and they get to build their own program, as opposed to a rigid corporate structure, in my opinion, it's going to pay dividends for you.
Wonderful.
And I
So
would,
Chris,
I
go
would
ahead.
add to that. Sorry, I'm jumping in on you, Brad, but I would add to that and say that it's also the reinforcement from up above. If you have a negative reinforcement or something that comes down in a way that they take in a negative way, it ruins the whole thing. So it's got to be in a perspective that is kosher with what their mindset is. So you got to be careful on that push down from up above. But it is the buy-in, the culture that you create, and how it is all created on every job from every manager in the company, and ensuring that that is their priority. And there is no ifs, ands, or buts. This is the way we run it. This is the way it's going to be done. And if there's anything that comes up that changes that, we will stop and we will relook at it, whatever it is, and take the time and the effort in order to do it correctly the first time.
Excellent.
So I would just like to say that for me, it's my personality, and our employees know how much that I love them and they're our company, and they reciprocate that with me and our safety team, and being honest and letting them know how much you care and that you're not just blowing smoke. Their direction has made a huge difference for us. And as a matter of fact, they're getting ready to come in. Some of them are getting ready to come in from a meeting now. And that's my favorite time, is that I get to see them all. So that would be my recommendation for a great safety program.
Love it. Okay, Mark, you get to wrap us home.
Well, since everyone took all the good answers, I'll just say keep it simple and relatable. Don't overthink it. I mean, there's so much out there nowadays. Don't be shy or don't be afraid to look into the new tech, but don't also be afraid to say this isn't working for us. Keep it simple, keep it relatable, and if you can make it hit home, like we've done with our calendar contest where we get the family asking the employee about what their day at work was. I mean, that's what I always did. My father was 47 years in the steel mills, and I would always ask him, what'd you see today? What cool things you see today? I never thought to ask about safety, but we're hoping that our employees' kids are asking them about how they were safe on the job site today.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you all for being here. Again, congratulations on just doing an excellent job on managing these safety programs in what is one of the most challenging industries. We can't put up a chain link fence and say, construction workers only, or, private property, whatever it is. We're lucky if we have a little concrete there, but mostly it's plastic that keeps us separated from the public, traveling often very quickly, adds a whole new dynamic to what we're doing. Things that are not really in our control. And so a challenging environment, and you folks are exceeding and succeeding in that environment. And I thank you for your example and for sharing this. For all those who are watching, if you have colleagues or others who weren't able to join us today, this presentation will be recorded. It's available on ARTBA.org. That's ARTBA's website, and it'll be available for post-viewing shortly. So again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you for sharing your expertise, and good luck. Well, you can't compete in the ARTBA award next year because you're all winners this year. You have to stand down one year, but good luck in other areas, because I know you all participate in other areas, and keep those people safe and those programs running great. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Brad.